Welcome home. This is the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. Come right this way. Have a seat with me today in the corner booth celebrating our 109th week. Sweeney clear the floor, Katie bar the door, Molly put on another pot of Irish coffee and bring out the Irish dancers. It's time we get this show on the road. Got another full house today, not a chair to spare. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host. You can reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com, and you can check out the written show notes on my blog at irishroots.com too. And we'll have a lot of links there that you can click on during each show and go to some of these places we're talking about, give you a little more, sort of an expanded view, if you know what I mean. And you can also search all of our books and videos and podcasts there too. And remember, you can phone 816-256-3360 to leave your comments on my recorder. Try it, you'll like it. We've got a lot going on today. Among today's topics, the Irish family name of the week is Hyland. Number 2, Stonehenge find in Ireland. I wonder what that's about. Number 3, the book of the month is the Irish Book of Arms. Number 4, the Irish Song and Recitation Festival is on the air again. Number 5, the video of the month is Irish Tartan Lies. Had to get that out there again since I saw so much of that during March. And number 6, a Return to Irish Roots DVD is launched. And number 7, the Irish Roots fan page starts up on Facebook. Well, let's move on now to the notes for the week. I've started up a page on Facebook. I've been meaning to do it for 6 or 7 weeks now, and I just haven't been. 6 or 7 months, and my webmaster didn't have time, and I didn't have time, so we're going to try it. And that's just an extra little page on Facebook where everybody goes who likes Irish roots and likes to talk to each other and that kind of thing. A social network, maybe. I put the picture up there of the Quiet Man movie poster, and that might get some things going, and we can talk about our roots and what county our families came from and what has been the most help, that sort of thing. But we'll just see what happens. It's there, and I've got a link on the blog, and you can go to Facebook and just type in Irish Roots Fans under groups, I guess it is, and that'll come up. Number 2, I just completed last week an interview with Jason Van Orden, and that began with a simple little inquiry on Twitter, TWITTER.com. Got on there. There's just hundreds of new genealogists coming on there all the time, so that might work out pretty good. I know it's been pretty good for me. And in my interview with Jason, Jason's been interviewing and doing work on podcasting and new media for several years now, and I followed him when I first tried to figure out how in the world to start podcasting. I got his little book along with about 5 others, and it helped me along my way, helped me get this podcast running. But I talked with him about starting up a community on the web and about the Irish Roots Cafe and how I started and any troubles I might have faced along the way. And that was just a real good interview. And while I'm thinking of Twitter, my Twitter username is Irish Roots Cafe, so that would be an easy one to find if you go get on Twitter. It's just real simple. Number 3, we have officially begun the Irish Song and Recitation Festival podcast. And boy, you know, this week I sing my first song ever in public. And some say it might have been better left that way. I don't know. But let's just say it's a rehearsal for the new CD we're putting together here at the cafe. All the late-nighters are putting together some tunes and bringing in the pros. And that could end up being a lot of fun. But you can listen to the Irish Song and Recitation Festival second season from my webpage. Just go to Irish Song there on the left-hand side. If you look, you'll see it. Or you can also go to iTunes, and the Irish Song and Recitation Festival is there. Take your pick. Whichever suits you is just fine with me. Number 4, our new Return to Irish Roots DVD launched successfully last week. And remember, That's like 11 little courses on Irish genealogy or heritage. Lots of genealogy and a sample of each one of our audio podcast series and a travelogue from the old days in Ireland. So you get to listen to the podcast shows and figure out what they're all about if you don't already know. And you get to see a little movie that my nephew did on our trip to Ireland way back in the 80s when I took a group over. And it is just sort of like a starting course on Irish heritage. We also include 7 of our little video shorts talking about Irish genealogy and history and books and whatnot. So it'd be a pretty good little piece to have for a gift for someone too, It'd help them get started on the right road, I think. And you can find, of course, that on our webpage, right there on the very first opening of the webpage there, about halfway down. I think Ruth put that there, so that looks fine. And it's also at Amazon.com. Just search for A Return to Irish Roots. And I hope that one does real well. We sure had a lot of fun putting it together. And now what we're going to move to, we're going to make something, it'll be the Book of the Month. Well, the clickable book of the month this month, it's going to be on the webpage. It'll take you there. You can see the book, what the contents are like. You can search the book by typing in a little search box that is at the bottom of the page. And the video's about, really, I ended up focusing on Irish family tartans and how that's just not such a thing, never was. And so many people have been fooled. Tartans are fine with me and they look pretty sharp, but there's no such thing as an ancient Irish family tartan. It just isn't so. Tartans weren't for the Irish. But you can watch that video on our Book of Arm page, and I've got a link on the blog, or you can type in there, you can type in on the search engine, Irish family tartan lies, and our page might come up. But you can click on the blog, too, on our webpage, and that'll take you to the page as well if you want it now. Hey, we also got coming up later, uncovered a little story on Easter Saturday and a fish. It's got something to do with what's going on in Ireland on Easter. It's at least one example. And gosh, you know what time it is already? It's time to raise our eyes skyward, give thanks, and ask for help. Here come today's Magnificent 7. Well, number 1, new member Florence Duham of Schenectady, New York. Welcome to the club. Jim Sterling of Napa, California. Your birth index has shipped. William Cooper of Kahuku, Hawaii. Your Return to Irish Roots DVD has shipped. Thanks a lot there, William. Gerard P. Drew of Cocoa, Florida. Your County Cavan genealogy book shipped. Tony Kennington of Cambridgeshire, UK. Your Kilkenny genealogy book has shipped. And new member Robin M. Moore of Essex Junction, Vermont, welcome. Zane D. Perry of Virginia Beach, Virginia, your County Kerry genealogy book has shipped as well. So that does it for the Magnificent 7 for the day. Anybody who wants to help them, or if they can help you, get a hold of me, drop me a line or email, and I'll get you all in contact with each other. And that reminds me to say thank you to each and one of our members and supporters, including those 7 I mentioned today, because without you, there'd be no podcast, there'd be no books, and I rely on memberships and friends out there to keep things going here, and that's just the way it is. Now it's time to move on to the Irish family name of the day. Well, the family name for today is Hyland, and that's in honor of member Kimberly Etheridge, who's searching for the Hyland family of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And, there's several ways to spell that name, just like there's several ways to spell yours. And you can have an E on the end, or you can have a N without the E or the D, or it can be spelled Hylan, and that's the name. You can add the D or the E to the end of it. Hyland D maybe, or just Hyland with an E to look fancy in certain time periods. And that comes from Variant Spelling Groups number 2047 and 944 in the Master Guide to the Various Spellings of Irish Family Names. That's a book I put together a couple of years ago just to help out when you're trying to figure out, well, how could they have spelled that name and how did it appear? And I've got a link to that on the blog. And it's also on my webpage, of course, under our books we sell. History of the name. Well, what are we going to find out? Well, just a few notes from the Book of Irish Families, Great and Small. And that tells us that early records find the family in County Waterford, and then a little later in County Kilkenny. So we're down in those parts. And the birth index shows the family spelled with a D on the end of it, Hyland. And that was most numerous in Mayo, Dublin, and Queens. And when it was spelled as Hyland, Hiland, instead of Hy, the name is given most often in County Antrim. So that could be a clue, especially the further back you go. If you find it's a Y or an I, that could just tell you maybe how it was. But without doing the research, you can't tell for sure. Well, let's move on and take a quick look at the Irish family coats of arms. We don't find any for Hyland today, at least spelled as Hyland as I look in that index. But that's okay because most of the folks never got granted arms in Ireland anyway. And hey, you know what else we got coming up later in this episode? The new science research over in Ireland there, they said they took like x-rays of Tara and, they've uncovered something really special. Have a little bit more about that later and some links and some pictures to it too. Let's take the last shot at Hyland and we'll go to the Free Master Index search of Irish names, and we find it there about 25 times. And you can search that master index for your name too and at least give you a clue on what books or what counties we show your name in. And we found it in spelled Hylane in County Tipperary Genealogy and Family History, and spelled Hyland. We found it a couple of times, including the Journal of the American Irish Historical Society, Volume 24. And we also found a reference to Hyland, a.k.a. Whelan. So maybe there's a little interchange there where Hyland, that Hy is aspirated to be Whelan. I don't know. And we also found the name in the 1659 Census of Ireland and the Birth Index of Ireland and in the Families of County Dublin, Ireland. And gosh, in several other books. It came out in more books than I thought, in our Antrim, Waterford, Mayo, Kilkenny, and a couple of more. So it's really spread out a little bit since the early records pointed it out. Well, we're making real good time this week, and that's good because we've got so much to do, and that Irish Song and Recitation Festival is out there today, too, and we want to make sure you have time to listen to that. But now we're going to move on to the websites of the week. Well, the websites this week, you can click on them on the blog just like everything else, and it'll take you right there. We've got a Hyland Family Genealogy Forum. For those of you who might just be starting out in a search and don't know where to start on the web, that'd be a nice, easy place to get started. Several different Hyland families there. And number 2, Easter Saturday and a funeral for a fish. And that's from our friends over at irishcultureandcustoms.com. And I've got the clickable link on the blog. And number 3, Secrets of the Stones. Stonehenge at Tara. And that's going to be an interesting one. Boy, if this turns out, this is going to be real. It's going to rewrite a little bit of history about as far as how much people contributed to each other's culture. And what a link. And that's going to start off also our first little note on Curious News and Notes, which is up right now. Well, number 1, our first note is about the Secrets of the Stones, and that's a special the television show that's going to be shown on RTE, and they found evidence of a large wooden structure similar to Stonehenge. Well, I just think that's fascinating. If they can put that together and prove that it's true, that's really a neat archaeological find, a neat historical find. Number 2, a leap of faith as crowds flock to fish shops and church services in Ireland. Are the spiritual needs of the people coming to the fore as they get ready for hard times to descend? Isn't that the way we are now? We don't think about much when times are good. And when they start turning bad, they think, well, gee, I wonder now, maybe I should have been living a little different. But they say that religious services and customs are being more and more looked after now lately in Ireland. So that's interesting, too. And I read about that in the independent.ie. I've got a link to the article on the blog. Number 3, Mayor Pat Crotty of Kilkenny City says that it's great to have something to celebrate as the city turns 400 years old. Why, that might just be a little stimulus plan for the whole county. You know that? I read about that in the irishtimes.com, and so can you. Got a link on the blog. Number 4, as we talked about a while back, the World Irish Dancing Championships were held in Philadelphia this weekend, and that's for the first time ever in the U.S. Well, that's right, and you can hear all about it on the web just by typing in Irish Dance Championships or World Irish Dance. I bet it'll come up 100, 200 times for you real quick. And they were held in Philadelphia for the first time, and they say the voting was between Philadelphia and Boston, but Philadelphia won out. And one of the reasons they have it in America these days is because 75% of the dancers happen to be from America, so they made that change this year. Most people like it. A few people think it should be staying on the other side of the pond, but we're sure grateful that they let us share in all the excitement this year. Number 5, did you know that Irish women are the pickiest in Europe when it comes to love? They did a survey of all the women in Europe and France and Spain and the whole shooting match in England, but the Irish women, they demanded more intelligence, optimism, and virility, and then some, than any of the others did, as if we didn't know that already. But what does that say about us poor Irish bachelors? We're in trouble, or even worse, if we're already married and we find that out, or they find us out, we're all in big trouble. Well, I've got that on the blog if you want to look at that survey and how it went. It's sort of interesting. And number 6, our finale for the day. Alan Healy and Bevan O'Keefe, it seems, met for the first time and married just minutes later. And it was part of a Waterford radio station promotion called Two Strangers and a Wedding. And it's part of a socialist experiment, they say. And why would a person do such a thing? Get married just after meeting somebody for a few moments? Well, for one thing, you get a free honeymoon in Portugal for starters, and then a free house in County Wexford for 6 months. Now, will that be enough to see if there's true love there or not? I don't know. It sounds mighty strange coming from Ireland. But that's what we got to work with, and that's in the irishtimes.com, and I've got a link on the blog just like everything else. Well, that's going to do it. It's been a quick one and a good one today. Remember to send your comments by clicking on the contact link on our webpage at irishroots.com, and send any of your notes by mail to our American address at the Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri, 64116. Leave your message or report on things in your part of the world when you call my phone recorder at 816-256-3360. And remember, you can Skype me at Irish Roots Cafe. You can find me on MySpace as Irish Roots Cafe. And you can find me on Facebook as Mike OLaughlin. And also, you can go to the Irish Roots fans group there, and you can find me there. That's our newest little deal on Facebook. And on Twitter, which is the busiest of them all right now, you can find me on there as Irish Roots Cafe. And look forward to seeing any of you that drop by and visit. And remember, members foot the bill, so they get first priority. But we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.